So guys, let's start now. And I think if you do remember, in the last session, we have discussed about all these cross-functional ERPs. And we discussed about the meaning of what is ERP, what is CRM. We discussed about SCM as well, ECS, EAI, and TPS. Now, the TPS is one of the most important, you could say, concept when it's come to management information system. So first of all, let's understand what this TPS is all about. First of all, as you know that on daily basis, and because of this pandemic as well, we can understand that now this particular online transactions are in the boom. Okay. And in the process of e-commerce, because you know that like the companies, not only like Flipkart and Amazon, basically, but the other companies are basically growing like anything. And now the new startups are also basically working to grow their business online only. Okay, because of, as you can see, the ease of or the convenience which you can provide to the customer. Okay, so basically transaction processing system is basically applicable for online transaction processing. And as we know that this particular transaction processing is not on the volume, or we can say quantum of transaction is definitely very, very high. Okay, so this online transaction processing which we are talking right now, especially when we discuss about the e-commerce. Okay, and e-commerce actually relates everything nowadays. Okay, we talk about from ordering the medicines, ordering essentials, as we know that the condition everyone has faced during this pandemic actually. Okay, now there are basically certain points which we actually you could say come under the TPS system. So various activities which actually comes under TPS. The first important activity which actually comes under TPS, which actually called your data entry. Second activity which come under TPS is called your transaction processing. I'll explain you how exactly it works. Third important point is database maintenance. That is database maintenance. The next important point, we have document and report generation. The fifth important point which comes under TPS is inquiry processing. Okay, so when I'm just talking about this particular TPS and how is it TPS works, as I'm telling you continuously about the online processing system. Okay, and as you know that like whenever you purchase or whenever you initiate any deal on any website or any application, you always know that there's a major, you could say, point from the company's perspective. They always actually go through first. Okay, for example, if you want to purchase anything from the Amazon, okay, the first and foremost thing, definitely you will search over the Amazon website or the application what exactly it is required to you. That is called data entry. Transaction processing, it's actually nothing but, like, for example, if you want to purchase any t-shirt or any shirt or anything which is required for your utilities or beauty, whatever it could be, in those scenarios you will actually proceed for transaction processing. Transaction maybe in terms of selection of the product, selection of size, any discount the company is offering to you, and go to the payment website directly or payment portal directly. After that, we have the database management or database maintenance, because definitely we do not have only a single customer, those who are approaching on the websites or on the application. We need to maintain the information, we need to maintain the data available in the system as well. After that, the document and report generation. Document means in terms of your bills, in terms of delivery schedule, in terms of you could say your payment mechanism, any facility or card transaction if it is belongs to each and every report which is being provided by the company to the customer. And ultimately, last but not the least, it's called about your inquiry processing. Okay, inquiry processing is nothing but basically in case of any issues, when it's come to your delivery, when it's come to prices, when it's come to any complaint you want to raise, each and everything will come under inquiry processing. So it's one of the basic important point when we talk about this particular portion of transaction processing system. Now, as you know that this is a world of internet, we can say. Okay, so using internet, actually using the network technology, now each and everything is possible and very convenient, we can say, for the customer, for supplier, for the companies, in order to understand the requirement of this particular system. Okay. Now, as you know that when we discuss about the MIS as subject we're talking right now, somehow the TPS is basically among the one of the most important aspect for any industry when it's come to the transaction processing. Okay. So the primary purpose of TPS is just to record, process, validate, and store the transaction that take place in the various functional areas. Okay, so important thing is that, as I told you, this particular 5-step processes about decision making in the organization, it actually talks about this particular data entry, transaction processing, database maintenance, document report generation, and last but not the least about the inquiry processing. Okay, so these particular TPS will actually guides you about the transaction summary or transaction between, you could say, 2 or more business entities. And this TPS is always, remember, it's a cross-functional activity. I told you in the last session itself, if you remember, that it is basically belongs to cross-functional activity as well. Now, I think any example, if you can quote about TPS, I think in the general life, let me unmute everyone. Yes, students, any example from your end about how the TPS works in the systems?
Actually, the transaction processing system is a computer system
Mm-hmm.
that performs and record the daily routine transaction necessary to control business. This
Yes.
example are the sales order entry, hotel reservation system, payroll. Payroll means in any organizations, this payroll, monthly payroll, employees record keeping, shipping, and then I think that automatic ATM also is the example of that this TPS. It's come
Yes.
under TPS.
Yes, yes.
And credit card authorization, online bill payment, self checkout, and the trading stocks over the internet and various other forms of the electronic commerce. These are the examples of the TPS. Also, it includes the accumulated data about transaction. Also, initial processing that the transform, storing the data. MIS in the MIS.
Perfect, perfect. I think any other example, guys, about TPS in the real world? Because I think Yani has given example of ATM, shipping, logistic. It's a very common logistic, actually, that I told you. Deepak, yes.
So digital payment in transaction process system, all digital payment.
Okay. Many can consider definitely.
Sir, previous slide, please.
Previous slide you want? Yeah. Amazon, yes, Divya. Amazon, Flipkart, all the online e-commerce websites. And like what the Swadesh has mentioned as well about ticket reservation, ATMs, these all will actually the best examples of this topic. Okay. Now, as I told you, there are, yes, Rahul, please.
Sir, it has been done. Actually, sir, transaction system is just a simple process, getting the money from the customer, making its entry, making transaction in progress, getting his money to our account. Documentation and reporting, giving him the slip that we had received the money, and inquiry in processing means, sir, getting the transaction done easily.
Perfect, perfect. I think, yes, very good. Now, there are basically 2 types of transactions we have that actually talks about the internal transaction, and second is talk about the external transactions. So, as I know that internal transaction is nothing but any transaction which is intra in nature, which is within the company only, okay, and it is related to the, you could say, internal working, related to the internal working of the company. Any example in this regard? How this particular TPS work in the internal organizations? Any example? Yes, Fritz. Any example? Internal transactions.
So the transaction between the banks, within the banks, so one bank is lending other bank. If one bank is getting a potential customer for loan, and he does not have that bank does not have that amount of money, then it lends from another bank, and when it gets the interest and the things, and other depository, they bound back the taken loan.
Okay.
So
That is
salary transaction of any employee in the bank.
very good. Very good. Salary, promotion. Yes, very good example. I think, Adam, it is material supply to production. That is about the transaction between the issue department to production.
Sir, vendor payments.
Yes.
Vendor.
Vendor
payments.
Vendor payment would be external.
Okay.
Vendor payment would be external. Stock transfer to your existing employee, Divya, we can consider. Okay. Stock transfer to existing, definitely we can consider. But stock transfer to outside the company's periphery, that will not come under this. Okay. So promotion, stock transfer.
So incentives.
Incentives, yes.
Incentive, bonus,
recruitment policies, production policies, this all will come under production policy.
Manufacturing and production, finance and accounting, it's a
Yes. Manufacturing, yes.
Human resource, this all are something internals.
Everything will come under this, guys. Okay.
Yes,
Human resource management, etc.
yes.
Clear, everyone? What is internal transaction? And the examples are also clear. Next, what is the external transaction? It's very simple that any transaction which are associated with the external party or external individual, third party, we can say. Okay. Example.
Vendor payments होगा इसमें.
Vendor, definitely. Vendor settlements or vendor
और
transactions.
और परचेज भी आएगा इसमें.
हाँ जी. Sales, purchases.
और BRS भी आएगा. BRS भी आएगा इसमें.
VRS.
Yes.
Voluntary retirement system. Is it?
No. It's bank reconciliation.
Okay, bank reconciliation. Fine. BRS will come definitely. I thought it VRS. Okay. Insurance will come. Buying goods, purchase, sale is done.
Sales
Yeah,
and marketing.
it's customer and all. Yes, very good. Good, I think, students.
So processing and shipping charges given to other companies.
Okay.
Purchase from third party.
Or export can be added, sir.
Export, yes, definitely.
Purchases.
Purchase
Sir,
is done
purchase.
definitely. Purchase, sales, this is definitely a part of that. Okay.
सर इसमें परचेज ऑर्डर आ गया क्या इसमें सर?
हाँ, definitely. Purchase order, like purchases will come, and that would be the major part of this particular.
Sir, shipping charges from ये भी कह सकते हैं sir, transportational charges.
हाँ जी, definitely. Shipping charges, transportation charges, everything will come under.
और order controlling.
Order